The bed already had a head print when I walked in. Not a dent. A fucking head print, right in the middle of the pillow. Sheets pulled back like someone just stood up. The air smelled like old sweat and metal. I just stood there in the doorway with my bag on my shoulder, like if I waited long enough the room would fix itself. Long drive, shitty day, I just wanted to crash, not deal with whatever this was. I stepped closer, leaned over the bed. The dip in the pillow looked fresh, like the weight had lifted a minute ago. The sheet on my side hung off the edge, twisted like somebody slid out fast. I pressed 2 fingers into the head print. Cold. Not ACs on cold. Dead fridge cold. My stomach rolled. I told myself housekeeping probably lay down for a smoke break or something. People cut corners. No big deal. I grabbed my key card, turned around, went back downstairs anyway because that's the sort of thing you complain about when your whole day already sucks. Lobby kid barely looked old enough to drink. Hoodie half zipped under a motel name tag. Eyes stuck to his phone. I dropped the key card on the counter, told him the room wasn't right. Didn't even bother dressing it up. There's a fucking head print in the bed. Sheets messed up. Smells like someone's armpit and a handful of pennies. He glanced at the monitor, didn't really read anything. Just said, room was cleaned an hour ago, like he'd already said it 50 times today. No surprise, no concern, just bored. I asked for another room. Didn't care if it was more expensive, just didn't want to sleep where someone else's head had been 10 minutes before. He tapped a few keys like he was trying, then shrugged. We're out of doubles. I knew it was bullshit. Place was half dark from the outside, but I could feel the crash coming on in my body. Shaking hands, heavy eyes, that wired, tired thing. I didn't have the energy to fight a minimum wage kid at midnight off some interstate. He slid the same room number back to me on fresh key cards like that magically reset the whole situation. Back upstairs, the hallway felt too quiet, like the building was holding its breath. I swiped the card, pushed the door open. The bed looked different. Pillow puffed up, sheets pulled in tight, corners tucked. No head print. No that cheeked. Quickest cleaning job I'd ever seen. That freaked me out more than the print. Someone had gone into my room in the 5 minutes I'd been downstairs. Someone who knew I'd complain and came up fast to cover it. The smell still clung, just lighter, mixed with cheap lemon cleaner. I walked in anyway. What else was I going to do? Sleep in the car. When I pulled the pillow back to check, I saw the note. Lined notebook paper ripped from a spiral. Shaky blue pen, all caps, hand pressing too hard. Do not open the door after midnight. No matter what they say. That was it. No smiley face. No law, no signature. Just that. I read it 3 times, brain trying to label it as a joke. Some bored kid on staff. Maybe an edgy guest before me. Online challenge shit. It almost worked until I noticed the indentations where the writer had gone over the last line twice, like they needed to feel a dig into the paper. My thumb when I'm holding it. I told myself if I started believing motel ghost notes, I deserved whatever insomnia I got. I folded it, stuck it on a nightstand, turned the TV on just to drown out my own thoughts. I showered. Water came out weak and lukewarm, stuttering in the pipes. I kept hearing footsteps in the hallway over the spray, but every time I turned the water off, it went quiet. I checked the door twice to make sure I'd thrown the deadbolt and latched the chain. I don't usually bother with that. I did there. By the time I was in bed, lights off, TV low, it was close to midnight. I lay there staring at the red numbers on the clock, 11:57, 11:59, 12:03. The note sat next to my phone, edges curled. I thought about just opening the door at 12:01, proving to myself there was nothing there. Then I imagined standing barefoot in that hallway alone and couldn't make my body move. Around 12:20, the knocking started next door. Slow, heavy, flat-handed. Not polite. Not drunk dude playful. Each hit carried weight, like someone using the last of their strength. Thud, thud, thud. The wall behind my bed vibrated with it. Then a woman's voice came through the wall. No words at first, just this ragged sound, half sob, half choke. When the words formed, they came out ripped like her throat was raw. Begging. Actual begging, the kind that strips away pride. You can tell the difference between acting and real panic. I've heard both. This was real. She slammed into the shared wall so hard my headboard bounced. I heard her scream, "Help me, please, he's..." And something cut her off. A dull, heavy thud, body hitting floor. Then nothing. No crying, no movement. Just the air conditioner kicking back on like nothing happened. I grabbed my phone, heart going nuts. My brain threw up every possible explanation at once. Domestic fight, drunk assholes, some sketchy deal gone bad. That note burned in the corner of my eye. Do not open the door after midnight. No matter what they say. My legs swung off the bed. I was halfway up when my door handle moved. It eased down first, almost polite. Then again, harder. The chain rattled when the door tried to push inward. Metal scraped against the frame with this jittery, controlled force. Whoever was on the other side knew exactly how much pressure to use without making it slam. Then a man's voice, calm, level, no hurry. "Sir, front desk. We need you to open up while we check the alarms." I froze. There were no alarms. No beeping, no flashing lights. Just that voice and the rattling handle. He sounded like a guy reading off a call center script, like a human elevator announcement. My thumb hovered over the green button on 911. I'd already dialed it without thinking. I could press it. I could open the door. I could shout through it, ask for ID, something. Every option pounded in my skull at once. The handle jerked again, harder this time, like he was getting irritated. The voice repeated, a little sharper, "Sir, open up." No knock, just that calm demand. I didn't move. I didn't answer. I didn't call. I sat on the bed with the covers twisted around my legs like a trap and stared at the door while my body shut down on me. I've been in fights, accidents, sketchy situations. I always thought I'd be the one who acts. Turns out I freeze. After a minute or 10, I don't know, the handle stopped shaking. The voice cut off mid-sentence. No footsteps walked away. No doors opened or closed. Just silence and the AC whirring. I stayed like that until the light outside the curtains turned gray. At some point, I must have blacked out for an hour or two because the next thing I knew, the clock said 8 o'clock and the hallway noise had changed. Vacuum, wheels, distant voices. Normal morning sounds. It felt wrong. When I stepped out, the room next door stood wide open. Bed made tight, TV dark, curtains drawn neat. Housekeeping car parked outside like any other day. The woman inside the room shoved a pillow into a fresh case, humming something under her breath. No sign of a struggle. No cops. No blood. Just a faint whiff of bleach that didn't match the weak lemon smell in my room. Downstairs, I asked the front desk about any noise, any fight, any call last night. The manager on duty smiled too wide, like he'd practiced it. "No noise complaints last night," he said. Perfectly smooth. Too fast. I pushed it. Told him I'd heard a woman screaming. Someone at my door claiming to be front desk. His smile slipped just a fraction, then snapped back. He said maybe I was dreaming, that people sometimes get spooked in unfamiliar places. Like I was a kid who'd watched a scary movie. On the way out, I turned back to my door to check the number like I needed proof I'd actually been there. That's when I saw them. Fresh scratches all around the lock, right at eye level. Deep arcs, plastic peeled up in curls where something hard dug in over and over. I'd never touched the door with anything but the key card. My finger fit into one of the grooves too neatly. I pictured nails snapping as someone clawed at the lock, or a key jamming again and again while their other hand pounded the wood. I pictured her face right there, inches from mine, while I sat a few feet away and did nothing. I left. I drove home. I never called the cops. I never reported it to anyone official. I just carried it. Still do. Sometimes I wake up convinced someone's at my apartment door, saying they're just here to check something. Sometimes I half reach for the handle before I remember that note. I still taste that mix of fear and cowardice. Whoever you were in that room, I'm so fucking sorry I didn't open the door. The first weird thing wasn't the fake smoke detector. It was the housekeeper knowing my name. I'd barely been there an hour. Cheap family hotel, guy at the front desk with the dead eyes, floral carpet that smelled like old mop water. I was tired, I wanted to shower and sleep, so I didn't overthink it. He gave me the key, called me my friend, pointed at the free coffee like that made up for everything. I went up, tossed my bag on the bed, stripped, and took a long, stupidly relaxed shower. I walked around the room naked after, phone in my hand, towel on the chair, not even bothering to close the curtains all the way. It felt safe in that lazy way where your brain hasn't caught up yet. When I came out of the bathroom again, she was just there. Housekeeper, middle-aged, uniform faded, stack of towels in her arms. No knock, no housekeeping, nothing. She stood in the middle of my room like she'd spawned there. She said my last name, clearly. Not sir, not checking a clipboard. Just my name, like we'd met. I froze with the damn towel around my waist and tried to pull it higher without looking scared. She didn't leave. She drifted over to my open suitcase and started tidying. Her fingers went straight to my underwear. She touched every pair, smoothed them, stacked them. I watched one inside-out pair quietly flip the right way in her hands. The whole thing lasted maybe 30 seconds. She smiled, said something in the local language, and walked out without closing the door all the way. I shut it, locked it, and just stood there. My underwear sat in a perfect little pile now. Edges lined up. Nobody folds my shit like that. Nobody has ever cared that much about my boxers. I told myself I was overreacting. Different culture, maybe they're just thorough. I actually laughed out loud, tried to shake it off, turn on the TV. Noise helped for about 10 minutes. Then I saw the red LED above the bed. I don't know how I missed it. White smoke detector glued to the ceiling right over the pillow. The red light didn't blink steady. It pulsed, then stayed dark, then double flashed like someone tapping their finger on the inside. My scalp went tight. I lay on the bed and stared at it. Each time it flashed, my brain replayed me walking around naked 10 minutes earlier, bending over my bag, drying off, scratching myself without thinking. Finally, I couldn't pretend anymore. I dragged a chair over, climbed up, and twisted the plastic cover off. No smoke sensor, no brand, just a tiny lens and an SD card. The lens pointed straight at where my chest would be when I slept. I felt my face burn. Rage and embarrassment hit at the same time, like being caught doing something filthy in front of a crowd. I tugged the SD card out with my nails, snapped the cover back on, and climbed down shaking. I didn't think. I just marched downstairs with the fake detector in my hand. The owner looked up from his phone. When he saw what I was holding, he went pale for half a second. I saw it. Then his whole face snapped into that greasy customer service mode. "Oh, sir, it's a security camera," he said. "For your safety." "For my safety while I'm naked?" I said. My voice came out louder than I meant. The two other people in the lobby suddenly became very interested in their plates. He reached for the device. Like this was a little misunderstanding he could scoop away and forget. I pulled it back. His eyes changed. All warmth shut off. Just flat, dark annoyance. "You can check out if you're uncomfortable," he said. That line hit me harder than I expected. Not "I'm sorry." Not "we'll remove it." Just "leave if you don't like it." Like I was the problem. I should have walked straight out then. I know that. But some stubborn part of me didn't want to give him the win, didn't want him laughing the second I turned my back. So I said I'd stay, pocketed the SD card, and went back upstairs. The second I closed my door, the room felt wrong. Like I'd stepped onto a set instead of into a bedroom. I locked it, slid the chain, shoved a chair under the handle. My heart wouldn't slow down. This time I didn't just look. I searched. In the bathroom, the grout between two tiles over the toilet had a little round hole. Too clean and too perfect. When I shone my phone light into it, something tiny and glassy reflected back. Not dust, not a chip. In the corner of the ceiling, another smoke detector, smaller, half hidden by shadow. I dragged the desk chair over, popped it open. Same lens, same SD card. Over the bed, a cheesy countryside painting hung just slightly off-center. When I lifted it, a thin cable ran from the back into a rough hole in the wall. edges scraped and repainted. No outlet, no reason, just a wire disappearing into the building. I took quick photos of everything. My hand shook so bad most of them came out blurry, but you could still see the lens, the wire, the hole. It didn't feel like evidence. It felt like proof that I'd been stupid. The bed looked different now. Not a place to sleep. A target. That was the moment fear finally beat pride. I shoved my clothes into my bag without folding them, yanked chargers out of the wall, swept my toothbrush and razor into a side pocket. I didn't check under the bed or in the closet. I didn't want to know how many more eyes stared back. I left the room with my bag on my shoulder. As I walked down the hall, I noticed a door I swear hadn't been there earlier. No number, just slightly open, a meter of darkness and a low electronic buzz spilling out. I hesitated. I wish I could say I walked away. I didn't. I pushed it open. Small, windowless room, smell of dust and warm plastic. A desk crammed with monitors. Cables everywhere. Some screens showed static, some blue standby boxes, and one in the middle showed a clear feed. Same bedspread as mine. Same headboard. Different room. A woman lay on the bed. She was curled on her side, hair messy, tank top strap sliding down her shoulder. The camera looked straight at her chest. She slept, totally exposed to whoever watched. My stomach turned. For a second, I couldn't move. It felt like I'd walked in on a crime already in progress. Then someone stepped in my line of sight and blocked the monitors. The owner. Closer now. Taller than I'd realized. His face was empty. "You're not allowed back here," he said. His breath smelled like coffee and something sour. I didn't argue. I didn't shove him or smash the screens or play hero. I just backed out, heart hammering, every instinct in my body screaming that I'd seen too much and this guy had nothing to lose. I walked straight to the front desk, dropped my key on the counter without a word, and left. In the parking lot, my hands shook so much I had trouble getting the key in the car door. I kept imagining a camera pointed at me from the roof, catching the panic on my face. I drove out of that town faster than I should have, checking the rearview mirror every 10 seconds like a paranoid idiot. I told myself I'd report later. I didn't. I try not to think about it. I convinced myself maybe I'd misunderstood, maybe it was something else, maybe I'd blown it out of proportion because I was tired and alone. Weeks later, a friend sent me a link. No context, just, "Hey, isn't this the town you stayed in?" It was an article about a voyeur site takedown. Cops had raided a small hotel. Hidden cameras in rooms and bathrooms. Live feed streamed online for years. Subscribers. Payments. Arrests. There was one photo of the lobby. Blurry, low-res, but I recognized the wallpaper immediately. Same ugly pattern behind the desk. Same cheap lamp. Same breakfast table in the corner. My mouth went dry. Further down the article, they'd included a few censored examples the cops had pulled from a site. Tiny mosaic thumbnails of bodies in beds and showers. Faces blurred, everything blurred, just shapes and skin tones and outlines. But the rooms looked exactly like mine. Same curtains, same headboard, same comforter. I sat there staring, trying to match the blurred shapes to my own body in my head. The way I'd walked from the bathroom to the bed that first night. The way I'd sat, legs spread, scrolling my phone without a thought in the world. I wanted to throw up. I wanted to smash my phone. I wanted to somehow go back upstairs and rip every camera out of that place with my bare hands. But it was done. Whatever they got, they got. And here's the part that doesn't leave me alone. Even now, I will never know if one of those bodies was mine. The elevator shouldn't have known my floor. I hadn't pushed the button yet. Doors slid open as I walked toward it. Empty cabin waiting like a mouth. Floor 7 already lit. My floor. It was 1 a.m. after a conference. My feet hurt. My brain hummed from cheap wine, and I was too tired to argue with a haunted elevator, so I stepped in. The doors started to close, then stopped halfway like something blocked the sensor. I turned around, expecting a suitcase, a hand, anything. Hallway was empty. Just patterned carpet and hotel silence. Then the doors shut the rest of the way and the car dragged itself up. I told myself a dozen normal explanations in those few seconds. Someone else hit 7 earlier. Glitchy panel. Whatever. But my neck prickled. It felt like the elevator already knew where to take me. On 7, the corridor stretched both ways. Same beige, same humming lights. As I stepped out, I heard it. Bare feet slapping carpet somewhere above me. Quick, light like a kid running. A giggle, too high for an adult, cut off mid-breath. Then nothing. The sound didn't fade. It just stopped like someone hit pause. A second later, the fire door at the far end of the hall clicked softly, like someone eased through and caught it before it banged. The handle trembled once and went still. I kept going because I just wanted a bed. My room was 714. I'd repeated it from the lobby like a mantra. I swiped my keycard. Red light. Tried again. Red. On the third swipe, it finally flashed green and clicked, and right as I pushed the handle down, a man's voice behind me snapped, "Hey, that's my room." I turned. Guy in a rumpled suit, tie balled in his fist, eyes glassy but focused. He held up his key card like evidence. "That's my room," he said again louder. I told him the number. He rolled up his sleeve and showed his wrist. 714 written in thick black marker, same as the plaque by my hand. For a second, we just stared at each other. Then at the door, like it should explain itself. He swore, said something about this fucking hotel, and stomped back toward the elevator to fix this shit. He didn't look scared, just pissed. And that pissed me off too. My suitcase was in that room. I checked in hours earlier, showered, dropped my stuff, gone out. This was my space. So I walked in on pure stubbornness. Everything looked exactly how I left it. Suitcase on the stand, zipper half open. Laptop bag in the corner. My charger plugged in by the bed. The bed still made because I hadn't used it yet. For a moment, I felt stupid for reacting at all. Then I went into the bathroom. There was another toothbrush by mine. Not sealed. Vet. Blue handle. Not my usual cheap white one. It leaned against the sink like it had been put down a minute ago. 2 damp towels hung from the rack. I'd only used one before I left. Now they both drooped heavy with moisture. On the counter, a second glass. Faint lipstick smear on the rim. Light pink. Not my color. A thin ring of water clung to the inside. I travel alone. Always. My skin went cold in an instant. Not the dramatic horror kind, just this deep, sick chill under my ribs. My tongue felt too big in my mouth. I grabbed my phone, snapped photos of the sink, the towels, the glass, my open suitcase, the room number on the door. Some part of me already knew if I didn't. I'd later convince myself I imagined everything. I shoved my stuff into my suitcase as fast as I could. Clothes twisted, shoes on top, laptop jammed in sideways. My hand shook and the zipper caught twice before I forced it closed. Every second in that room felt wrong, like I'd slipped into someone else's life and they were on their way back. I told myself I'd sleep in the fucking car before I closed my eyes in that bed. The hallway outside felt longer than before. Same doors, same numbers, but they all seemed off-center, like the building had shifted while I was inside. I headed for the stairwell instead of the elevator. The thought of the elevator choosing my floor again made my stomach flip. The stairwell door needed a key card. I swiped. Red. Again. Red. Third try, harder. Red. It had worked earlier when I'd gone out to smoke. I remembered the green light, the soft click, the weight of the door. Now it just denied me, over and over, like I'd never belonged on that floor. Somewhere behind me, a door handle rattled. Shop. Fast. Then another. Not the buzz of a card reader. Metal on metal. A key scraping, turning, failing, moving on. Then the next one. And the next. I froze. The sound moved down the hall, door to door. No footsteps, just the rattle of handles and the clink of keys. Whoever it was didn't knock, didn't talk. Just tried every lock like they were checking cages. I slid sideways between 2 fire extinguishers, back flat to the wall, suitcase in front of me like a shield. My heart pounded so hard my vision pulsed. The handles kept jiggling closer, steady rhythm, Nothing rushed, nothing hesitant. A shadow stretched across the carpet under the nearest ceiling light. Then the man stepped into view. Not the drunk guy. Different suit. Dark, plain, no tie. He walked slow, head level, face blank. In his hand, he held a ring of keys big enough to anchor a boat. The sound of them chiming against each other made my teeth hurt. These weren't key cards. They were real metal keys. He didn't look at me. He didn't look at any of the numbers. He just moved door to door, picked a key, tried it, moved on. When he reached 714, he didn't hesitate. Picked one, slid it in, turned. The lock gave on the first try. He opened the door to my room and slipped inside without knocking, without announcing himself, without a cart or a radio or a name tag. The door closed behind him with a soft click. That was enough. I abandoned the stairwell completely and sprinted for the elevator, hitting the call button again and again. The doors opened almost instantly, like it had been waiting for me. I got in, slammed the lobby button, then held door closed like my life depended on it. On the way down, I kept my back in the corner and stared at the doors, half expecting them to slide open on some wrong floor, some copy of 7 with all the doors hanging open. They didn't. We reached the lobby, and everything snapped back to normal. Bright lights, fake plants, silent TV with the news crawling. I dragged my suitcase to the desk and slammed my card down. Told the night receptionist I was checking out. He barely looked up, just said, "No refund after midnight," in this flat, dead tone. "Some guy with a ring of master keys just went into my room," I said. My voice shook. I hated that it shook. That got a reaction, but not the one I expected. "No soap. No, I'll call security." Just this tiny twitch of his mouth, like I'd reminded him of an annoying policy, not a threat. "We don't have security on that floor tonight," he said. "Maybe you're mistaken about the room. Maybe I was. Maybe the numbers moved. Maybe they put both of us in 714 and hoped we'd sort it out. Maybe the elevator knew where I should be before I pressed anything." I signed the paperwork, didn't argue about money, and walked out. Sat in my car in the dark, engine off, hotel lights glowing behind me like a stack of watching eyes. In one of those windows, someone could have stood with a ring of keys in their hand, wondering why their practice target got away. I still cover the peephole in every hotel, and I always wedge the door because somewhere there's a man with a ring of master keys who already practiced opening my room in the dark without a sound.